Hey, welcome back to the stream. This is iSpooge Daily. It's a B-side personal brand. So today I'm just going to do a very quick stream for a change. My fries have like 10 minutes left at this point. Thankfully the equipment all seemed to work out right away. So what if a homeless person doesn't take welfare? What does it do to their drive, right? It makes them not lazy. They get underweight, perhaps, if they have no help coming to them because they can't eat. But God does provide, and so if they don't have a work opportunity, it's for a reason. And maybe they've missed the boat. You know, there's that story about, guys standing on a roof during a flood and like a boat comes by. He's like, nah, man, God's gonna save me. And then a helicopter comes by. He's like, nah, man, God's gonna save me. And then the water raises and he drowns. And then he gets up to heaven and he says to God, why didn't you save me? He's like, I sent a boat and a helicopter. Why didn't you get on? So just talking about how that is that a matrix way of saving you, equivalent to taking welfare? Like there's that whole stereotype that San Francisco homelessness is majorly people who travel in, drug tourists who go for their $697 a month or $87 a month or whatever it is. Like, yeah, that sounds nice. $150 a week. That would be so great. Like, at this point, I spend $10 or $15 a week on 1 or 2 bags of potatoes, probably like 8 to 10 bananas, about 4 gallons of water, and then I've got a stockpile of rice and beans that I make with the water. So, and lately I've been getting a sweet potato, one single like half-pound sweet potato, which is way more expensive than the 5-pound bags of russet potatoes that are $4, right? But that's what I can eat, and maybe I've only got $50 in my pocket or whatever it is. If I was getting like $600 or $700 a month, I could do a lot. But the thing is, in the past, I have gotten good levels of support. And one of the things I'm doing with the Homeless Data Project is showing my receipts. And I want to do like feature analysis and say, where there's a significant drop in expenditures, like why was that, right? So, this is like on track to be the shortest talk ever. See, this is exactly what happens when you're not on welfare, is you have to work within increasingly limited constraints. And bosses actually know this. There's some law in corporate work, which is Briffault's law, which is that work expands or contracts given depending on the given time constraint or resource constraint. So in a way, it's really good to be extremely limited. And as I said, God provides, God sends helicopters, and now for me personally, is it crazy to not take welfare? What would happen if I was on welfare, right? So a lot of people would argue that yes, it is crazy, probably even people who have never been homeless. But for me, it still just doesn't feel crazy. And maybe it's just because of my past life. Like, I'm not a conservative necessarily. In fact, I've always leaned left in my politics. However, say like Ron Paul back in 2008 or something, 8 or 12, 8, was running up to the 8 election maybe, was, my candidate of choice. He's not, libertarian is what I used to call myself. I don't necessarily need to disclose what I call myself now, but it was well known that I was a Ron Paul guy back in the day. So if I'm a Ron Paul guy, am I really going to be getting on welfare? Well, I mean, it's there for the taking, and they say that the poor and the rich are people who know how deep Uncle Sam's pockets are, right? So definitely I'm the remnants of the middle class, American middle class, if you don't know where I'm from. So for me personally, it feels consistent to not get on welfare. Now, what welfare have I been on before? I went to university and I paid initially out of pocket, and then when I didn't have income anymore, I was offered various grants and subsidized loans, interest-free loans, which I did take. So in a sense, that is welfare. And then I believe twice I've been on unemployment. Once after a corporate job didn't work out and I was wrongfully terminated in 2016. And I don't remember if I was on it again after that. And then I applied for it once and was approved in 2020. OMG, you're one of those people who don't want to work, blah, 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 just taking welfare. Oh, I knew it. See, this is all just to cover, blah, blah, blah. Right? Is unemployment welfare in the sense that I'm thinking of it? I don't know. Would I take unemployment again in the future? Thing is, one, I can't change the past. Two, in the future, I have much more financial literacy now than before. So if I had been on welfare, would I have gotten the same level of financial literacy than having to, just figure it out and literally go hungry, literally go thirsty? I've literally had to beg. So, am I willingly going hungry? Yes, in a sense, but also it's with faith that I will be provided for somehow, right? So this is tangential big time, so you can probably tune out. But if is a homeless person who leaves domestic violence choosing to be homeless? Well, they could be taking welfare and get on a wait list for housing. And, it probably, it depends. It depends. Like, depending on the metro area, there's more or less unhoused homeless people. There is such a thing as housed homeless people. If a person doesn't have a lease and doesn't have the means to get their own space, they're homeless. Couch surfing is still homeless. Staying with a relative is still homeless. There's definitely caveats to that, but there's definitely housed and unhoused homeless, or sheltered and unsheltered homeless. Housing and shelter are different things. Housing is probably more along the lines of you have a lease, you have some kind of agreement, whereas sheltered is maybe you're squatting in a building, the police could come anytime. You're staying with a relative informally, they could kick you out anytime. If you apply to school, do you have residency in that state or not, right? If you apply to a job, do you have a mailing list or not? So, going off on little tangents about what if a homeless person doesn't accept welfare, but overall, that is a very quick take, and the comment section is now open yet moderated. So if you have questions, or if I started a thread that you want to see continued, let me know. I'm always improving. This is a B-side format. I need to practice this at least a few times a week anyway. So I'll do my best to get to whatever you bring up. No guarantee I will. But yeah, so those are a few thoughts about what if a homeless person doesn't accept welfare. So thanks for joining, and looking forward to hearing from you and seeing you soon. Bye.